Now, Tom Coale on WBAL News Radio 1090, FM 101.5, and the WBAL radio app.
Mako is a proven, respected place where all of us, from every corner of the state, every background, every political stripe, care about serving our communities and helping others. We will help advance Maryland, not merely overall, but for all.
That is the new president of Maryland Association of Counties, Mako, Howard County Executive Calvin Ball, who is joining me this morning. County Executive Ball, thank you for joining me.
Well, good morning and happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Thank you for, I know there's no day off for county executives, but I'm still going to say thank you for joining me on what should be a day off. So I want to start with just, again, a bit of a table set. Mako is an extremely powerful organization. It often plays a pivotal role in the quality of life of many Marylanders, but some of my listeners might not know what Mako is. So could you explain for them what the Maryland Association of Counties is?
Well, the Maryland Association of Counties is a place where all of the local elected officials are able to come together. For example, we vote on legislation and our support of advocacy for that legislation. Every year, the Maryland General Assembly has about 3,000 to 4,000 bills that come through that body. Mako may weigh in on up to about 1,000 of those bills, and in fact, this year we have legislative priorities that include ensuring that we have a smooth deployment of body-worn cameras, that we have appropriate revenue sharing for cannabis use, how we're recruiting and retaining firefighters, particularly our volunteer firefighters, and transparency in education spending. These are all issues that directly impact our local elected officials, but is actually governed by our state.
Talking to the new president of the Maryland Association of Counties and Howard County Executive Calvin Ball. Now, when you look at a map of Maryland and you look at electoral performances, many of the local governments presumably are Republicans, whereas the majority of Marylanders might be registered Democrat. Is Mako more of a conservative organization, more of a liberal-leaning organization, or do party issues not really show up in what you're doing?
Well, unlike what we see at the federal level, Mako is one of the last bastions of bipartisanship where we all come together. Of course, we have certain philosophical and political leanings, but we are an organization that has respectful conversation. We have debate, and then we move forward. And just like when I talked about those legislative priorities, those are priorities that impact us all and aren't necessarily political or partisan in nature. And so Mako is the place where no matter what your political affiliation, we can work together to move Maryland forward and make it the very best place, not just overall, but for all.
Now, one of the things I'm hearing from my friends in local government, not necessarily in Howard County where everything's running smoothly and always will, but some of the other jurisdictions are saying that they're predicting some trouble being able to afford the blueprint for Maryland's future, also known as Kerwin. Are you hearing any of that, and is Mako engaging on that issue?
Well, Mako is very concerned about the ability and sustainability of the blueprint to actually accomplish the goals that we want. We want to ensure that every student and every educator has the very best teaching and learning environment, no matter what their ability or their zip code. And so that's one of the reasons why we are having as one of our top initiatives the transparency in education funding. We saw throughout the pandemic, our school systems were getting federal dollars, state dollars, local dollars, getting record funding, and then coming back the next year and asking for even more funding. And so I think we can all work together. We can all ensure that we have respect for the taxpayer dollar, but also are investing in education, which is the most democratizing force for our future.
We're talking with Howard County Executive Calvin Ball, who was just elected president of the Maryland Association of Counties. Now, you also discussed the rollout of the legalization of marijuana, the retail sale of marijuana. What is Mako looking for from the General Assembly as far as that's concerned?
Well, I think as we look at the adult use cannabis, we recognize that there are going to be some jurisdictions that see more opportunity and others that see more concerns. And so, for example, when it comes to the opportunity, the economic impact of jobs, of being able to have the mental and physical health impacts that many of us see in the data when it comes to cannabis. However, there are potentially other issues and concerns when it comes to any legalization of drugs. And how do we actually ensure that there is appropriate revenue sharing? The local jurisdictions are the ones who deal with mental health and physical health challenges. We have purview over land use, and so we're actually the ones that are going to be doing much of the heavy lifting. However, if all of the money is going into the state coffers, that's not going to necessarily help us implement and ensure that our communities are actually thriving.
And we saw that there was some geographic diversity in terms of some jurisdictions. If you look at question 1 on the legalization that voted against it, are any jurisdictions looking for the opportunity to opt out or minimize the availability of adult use cannabis in their jurisdiction?
There actually are some jurisdictions that, at least in certain parts of their counties, are going to want to opt out, are going to see that maybe they don't have the infrastructure, maybe they aren't able to address some of the other issues and concerns that are potentially related to adult cannabis use. And so I think those are very astute of you to note that. Those are the two major issues that MACO wants to evaluate: revenue sharing and a local opt-out authority.
I'm talking to Howard County Executive Coale Ball. I want to turn things back to your reelection, just recently reelected by almost 20 points. Many people, not this show, but many people said that your race was going to be close, but it was far from close. Has Howard County gone from purple to deep blue?
Well, I think that, number one, I was honored to be reelected, especially with such a wide margin. I think it showed that the work that we have done together as a community over the years that I've been county executive, investing record funding in education, public safety, being environmental leaders, making sure that we are creating more opportunity for all. That's something that resonated. And we had the data of our performance that actually moved us forward. I also think that we ran an effective campaign of sending that message and getting people out. However, I think that I would not recommend anyone rest on their laurels for future elections, because Howard County has been known to be a bellwether county, and it is a place where people don't necessarily always go with party affiliation. They go with performance, and they go with what people are actually going to accomplish for our communities.
And speaking of not resting on your laurels, I want to talk to you also about Ellicott City. You came in and immediately rolled out the Ellicott City Safe and Sound Plan. This is allocating through federal and state and county resources hundreds of millions of dollars into Ellicott City flood mitigation and prevention. What is the progress on that? Any updates to provide for our listeners?
Well, after devastating floods in 2011, 2016, and 2018, the community wanted a real plan, not just a Band-Aid. And so our Safe and Sound plan is a holistic, comprehensive plan that prioritizes public safety, supporting our businesses and property owners, and protects Ellicott City's historic charm while ensuring that we are on the cutting edge of resiliency. And so one of the first things we put in was a stream debris cleanup. Before I became county executive, about every quarter they would clean up the streams in and around Ellicott City. Since I became county executive, we also do it after every major event, every major weather event. We've already cleaned out more than 30 tons of debris. And just last fall, I was very pleased to be joined by Maryland Senate President Bill Ferguson, Senator Katie Fry Hester, and Delegate Courtney Watson to cut the ribbon on our H7. Yes, I know that's a very fun and exciting name for a retention pond, but it's H7, and it is actually going to be able to hold enough runoff to cover a football field to the height of 10 feet. And right around the corner, we're going to keep on working on a Quaker Mill Pond and making progress on our extended North Tunnel, which will be the most transformational public works project in Howard County history.
You were listening to Howard County Executive Calvin Ball. Thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations on being elected president of the Maryland Association of Counties. I know that you've been working towards that goal for quite some time.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to serve our community. It's been a pleasure to be on your talk show. And let me just say thank you for making sure that you educate and empower your listeners.
Thank you, my friend.